I'm obviously Nadine Leighton. I am marketing director at Bright Software Group.
I'm Eb Adeyeri, VP for Paid Social and Partnerships at Jellyfish.
My name is Mayowa Palmer. I'm an account manager at GumGum and I've been here for 2 years.
My name is Jordan Jarrett-Bryan. I'm a sports broadcaster and journalist. I'm the sports correspondent for Channel 4 News, and I'm the founder of the video production company Black Academic Productions.
The steps I've taken to take control of my narrative throughout my career is kind of not being limited by the labels people have put on me and working really hard to kind of shed those and make it more positive. So I remember when I first joined this industry, like my first job, I was labeled as like sassy from the jump, even though I didn't do much or I was like very quiet, just observing, like keeping myself to myself. I think there were people who were just as probably more outspoken than me, and they never received that label sassy. As a Black woman in the workplace coming in and you'll be labelled sassy, there's no way to take that other than negative, especially when other people aren't being labelled as such. I'm not letting that label be a negative thing. I think there's nothing wrong with being assertive and just stating your opinion. It's not necessarily a bad thing and it shouldn't be deemed as such. So yeah, I think I've worked really hard to kind of shed that.
I think for me, the step started with really understanding my own story. I was born in the UK, but I grew up in Nigeria. I have a science engineering background, but the thing that's really kind of driven me into the world of comms is my love for communication. Just really understanding what my story is the first step to kind of taking control of it and not being defined by what a general story that is out there around being a Black British, being a British Nigerian, trying not to get swayed up within lots of other stories, but really understanding my own story.
In terms of my story, I kind of feel like I've always been like confident in who I am and what I do and what I'm all about. I really believe in having goals. And so working towards those goals, being clear on those objectives has allowed me to kind of manage that, keep true to myself and be happy with the story that's about me, which I think is also really important.
I think the best way of owning your narrative and owning your story is to be the one that tells it. People are always going to try to talk about what they think you've done or who they think you are, which is fine. You can't control that. But I'm a big believer in controlling the controllables, right? I like to ensure that I tell people about me and not let other people talk about what they think they know about me. With Black Academic, I like to try and create an environment amongst my production team on set where they just feel comfortable to talk about the things that they like and what make up them as individuals. So in that environment, I'm in a position of senior leadership. That's my company. I'm in control and in charge of that environment in a way that Channel 4 News, I'm not in charge there. I just have to control me.
I'm a Black British woman, right? So I think every day when I'm at work, being I'm from a Nigerian and Jamaican background, that comes out in everything I do. So maybe the confidence is from both of those places. That kind of like drivenness definitely comes, and, you know, being really goal focused, I think comes from like my grandparents, my Nigerian grandparents always being kind of like, no one's better than you. No one can achieve more than if you put yourself to it. So that's a key focus. I'm not really someone who brings their cultural heritage to work outside of being myself. I mean, I have this thing about bringing your heritage to work and what that expectation is. And I sometimes don't feel like it's our job to be the people that lead like the Black History Month, especially when your company doesn't pay you to do it or they don't give you time off. I'm like, this is free labor. So there's always a question in my head around like where I want to do it and what I'm doing it for. And now it's for me more about doing stuff outside of just my workplace and doing more stuff around the industry and trying to make a difference there.
In a Channel 4 News setting, I show up mentally ready to kind of really be Jordan Jarrett-Bryan and who I am. I never shrink into who I am, but also physically in the food that I eat, the hair that I have out, the clothes that I might wear. I make a very conscious effort to have my hair down and out. And I do that because I want to be very, very visible to young Black boys and girls to see and to show them, that when you are reading the news, you can have whatever hair you want. You can have a weave, a wig, locks, shaven head, a high top, whatever it may be. You can read the news to the nation and have whatever hair you want?
I celebrate my heritage by being very involved in Black History Month. So last year I helped organise some of the planning for that. We had an in-office cookout where I brought like jollof rice from my culture. I brought snacks from my culture. And then this year as well, I'm like heavily involved in the programming. And then just like day to day, I talk about my culture a lot. Like my name is Mayowa, so it's very obvious that I'm Nigerian. So I try and just talk about it and be open and bring my experiences into the workplace.
So I like to celebrate my heritage in my own style. So different moments that kind of come in. So I will tease out people around moments that people know about Nigerians. So I will ask people, do they know that Nigerian jollof rice is better than Ghanaian jollof rice? If there was a rice conversation that kind of comes up. Nigerian Independence Day, I will sort of celebrate that. When people ask me what my favorite food is, I will describe my favorite food as pounded yam and egusi soup. So I'll sort of celebrate my heritage in ways that are authentic to me. I'll talk about the fact that I was born in the UK and there are certain aspects around me being British, but also that I grew up in Nigeria and what Nigeria is like and the different aspects of Nigeria. And do it in a way that I'm proud of. I celebrate it in those sort of small moments that form part of my life, and I don't shy away from it. There may have been a time earlier on in my life where I perhaps did try and shy away from it, but that's how I celebrate my own heritage in my own way, in a way that feels authentic to me.